The following interview will be hard to digest. You're going to get a peek in someone's life and their hardship from when they were young, and you'll understand and see how they transformed and conquered. So before this starts, I would like to offer a warning. Some of the topics and things that are going to be said will be somewhat disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. And this is Real Talk. Honestly, trying to wrap my head around all this stuff, and which is good, it's good and bad at the same time.
Like
I have a
bittersweet.
ton of, pardon?
It's like bittersweet. Like when I meet someone else that tells me that they have been abused too, it's like, it's bittersweet. It's just like, oh, we can relate. But I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Exactly. I have a bunch of questions for you. And my first question is, and you kind of answered it, your mother, you mentioned that you forgive her and you still love her despite everything. Did you find it really hard to actually get to that point of forgiveness?
Well, when I did that release ritual, that is what helped. It was like a night and day experience. I urge everybody to try that because it's so easy to do and it doesn't cost any money. You just sit there quietly. You could play music. You could do what you have to do. And just that's part of it. It's you have to honor your emotions and understanding. I think that was really important. That's what helped me understand is that she did the best that she could. And I believe my mother is mentally ill. I know from bits and pieces I've heard that I've had to piece together that she has experienced her own trauma and she has not gotten help for it. And she refuses to get help for it. She's still numbing herself. So I almost feel compassion towards her. Like, how can I be mad at somebody who did the best that she could and she's still suffering? She hasn't been able to pull herself out. That gives me more gratitude to my experience. I'm grateful that I'm not lost like that. I'm grateful that I found my way out. And I just want more than anything to be able to help her. But I've learned that you can't change people. They have to want to change on their own. So understanding all of that, doing the release ritual, it kind of just, there was no more anger. It's like the anger just melted away. And now I'm just filled with compassion and love for her. And I find peace in that. And that's really all it is. There's just so much peace in that. I think people get hung up on the idea of not being able to forgive somebody because we feel like, because I used to feel this way too, because we feel like, oh, if I forgive him, that means it's okay. Well, it really is true that forgiveness is for you. It really is. We don't deserve to hold on to and carry all this unhealed trauma because of someone else's choice. They made a crappy choice. They hurt us. Now it's our turn. We have the opportunity now to make a choice. Are we going to continue to live with that trauma? Or are we going to do the self-healing work and to get rid of it because we deserve to be free from that? And that's the way I look at it now. And it fits and it makes perfect sense. So all of that ties into how I was able to do that.
So saying all that, have you ever offered her to read your book?
I don't communicate with her.
Okay.
I wanted to send it to her. I know she knows I have it out because my brothers, still communicate with her and all that. I did dedicate my book to her. So in the very beginning, it's dedicated. I think I even have in here because I thought, you know what, if she were to ever read my book, I would love for her to see this. It says, "For my dear mother, my greatest wish is for you to find the courage to unlock your ability to heal. My hope is for you to experience living a life full of peace, love, and joy through internal healing so we can come together once again." And I would love to do that, but I know that I need to only surround myself with people that are healthy minded because I do not want to be influenced or to go down that bad path.
Okay, that's fair. Biggest thing I would like to ask you is if you could say anything to your younger self, what would it be?
That you're more powerful than you realize, that you have the power. You have the power to heal because I didn't know that.
That's good. You mentioned your brothers and you have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Have you ever talked to them about everything that has happened to you from birth until now?
There was a time when I tried to talk to my older brother about it, but he wasn't in a position to hear it. So I was basically kind of shut down. So he knows stuff happened, but he doesn't know everything. I believe he has read my book, um, but he hasn't really said anything, and I didn't really want to bring anything up because he's in there, and I don't know, you know. And then my other two younger brothers, one of them I believe did read it because he left me a review, and the other one he hasn't really read it yet. But if you just read the introduction piece, like in the beginning, it kind of explains what it's about. So putting two and two together, you know, I want to have a conversation with them. I want them to know the truth about everything that happened. So maybe they can piece together things in their own mind. Because I know when I was young, they saw me in cop cars being taken away because my mom would call the cops on me and things like that. But I know that they have a lot of love for me because they would call me their second mom. Because when my mom would have time with them, you know, she would be hungover in bed or this or that. And I did everything in my power to take care of them. I would feed them. I would take them to fun places, you know, for their birthdays. On Christmas, she couldn't afford to do anything for Christmas. So I remember I used my entire paycheck to from Sephora to be able to buy them Christmas presents. And they had an amazing Christmas. And I'm so grateful I was able to do that for them. So I feel like in the future, there probably will be some more discussions as they seek answers.
Mm-hmm. That's good though. And that's what I was going with. Like, you're going through all this stuff, and the fact that you weren't the youngest, you still had your brothers in the picture. I was wondering if they ever reached out to you, or you ever reached out to them while you're going through these things throughout life. But I guess they're a little bit too young to actually help you in a sense.
Right. They were definitely too young to help me. If anything, I took on the role of a protector, and
Mm-hmm.
I did my very best to protect them as much as I possibly could as a young teen.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I got my very first apartment, and then the one after that, I made sure I got a 2-bedroom apartment because it was really important. Like, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared that if anything ever happened, if my parents kicked them out, or if they just experienced anything that I did, that they would have a home to come to, that there was a room there was a bed there, they had their own bathroom. I mean, everything was ready if
Mm-hmm.
they ever needed a place to stay. So I took that role as the protector. I think now, Tony, oh gosh, how old is he? He's 8 years younger than me. So he's 31, and he's taller than me. He's in the army. And now I look to him as my protector. Hey, protect me. It's so cute how the roles have changed.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You took an approach not a lot of people have taken, and I could be absolutely wrong on this. You never mentioned one thing, and that was therapy. So either A, you did go through therapy and it didn't help, or B, you choose not to go that route.
When I was really young, I couldn't even tell you which incident it was or why it happened. I don't recall it being my parents that set it up. I think it was through the court. And I remember having to sit with some woman, and I was not being very nice because I was angry, you know, and I was giving her an attitude, did not want to talk to her. I was like, who the hell are you? Like, why the hell do you care? Like, why would I think some strange person's going to care about me when my own mother and father don't? You know, those are the thoughts that I had. I don't remember being like, well, Monte Vista Hospital, I can't tell you that I got anything from being there. In Child Haven, I was taken care of, but I couldn't tell you that I got any help with the trauma piece in any of those facilities that I was in. There was a time when we had already moved to California when my husband and I were going at it with each other, and he went about it the wrong way, but it made an impact on me. He kind of told me off and told me, you're this, you're that, you're that, you're this. And I just stood there crying, taking it all in. And I was like, wow, if there's any truth to what he's saying, if that's how I am, if that's me, I don't want to be like that anymore. So that's when I made an attempt to reach out and schedule a counseling session with his brother-in-law's coworker. And she was great and everything. And I didn't see her very long. But again, I can't tell you that I really got anything. I couldn't tell you that I got any healing from that. Like nothing, like she tried to do something with me where I had to close my eyes. And I remember being so uncomfortable because for the longest time, I could not close my eyes. I was afraid to close my eyes. And it's because of all the trauma I had experienced. There was times where I was being abused when woken up to being abused from being asleep. So there was things like that. And I don't think she really understood that. I don't know. It was really strange. I don't really think I got anything out of that. Then fast forward to, I think it was when I already had my second baby. I was pregnant with my third. We had started going to like for marriage counseling for me and my husband. But again, the inner trauma was never addressed. It just, I don't know if you're supposed to be in therapy for like years and then you finally see something, but I can't tell you that I really got any healing from it. Maybe an understanding or something here and there, but never really anything to release that trauma until I started the self-healing process.
Saying all that, and you mentioned something just now, and that was you found it hard to close your eyes. And I say that because I know through trauma that when people experience trauma, that sometimes there's little pieces or little events that trigger something. Mm-hmm. Have you gone through that experience where you get triggered, even like at your later days and age, where if like, let's say if something falls, it reminds you of a time where you're just still unlocking traumatic experiences even now?
Yes, I had tons of triggers, but I was oblivious. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that my reactions were a response to a trigger. And that's why I say when things happen, you respond from that place of pain. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that until all the research, learning what triggers are, how they happen, why. And what I believe is that is actually an opportunity. A trigger is an opportunity. It's your body cluing you in. Hey, do you remember this? Can you please get rid of it? Your body's like begging you to purge. Just like when you eat something and you develop a rash, your body's telling you, hey, please don't eat that anymore because it's not good for me. Please stop eating that. It's the same thing with our mental health. When we experience something, we have to honor our emotions and release it, because if not, it gets stored within our subconscious mind. And that's where our identity is comprised from. That's in like how we think, react to everyday situations, how we speak, all that. And so I was reacting from that place of pain left and right. The word rape, I could not say that word. When somebody else said it sent chills through me. Like I hated it. If somebody made a joke about rape, oh, my blood would boil. Talk about being triggered. But I can actually say that word now. And that's just come through so much healing. My anxiety disorder, it was really bad to the point where I would try to go fill up gas and I would feel so fearful and scared. Going to a new softball game to go play, sitting in the car, crying, trembling, afraid to get out. Trying to go to a new church. It felt like somebody was pushing me back and I'm just trying so hard to move forward. Like it was just so hard and debilitating. And I know that just by being in a new place and feeling not protected was a trigger of mine. But doing all the healing work that I've done, I'm now able to come and do like a podcast interview with you. I'm now looking to get on a TEDx stage and speak. I didn't even used to have my face on my profile page on Facebook because I was hiding, so it's like all these things were triggers of mine, trying to protect myself, trying to hide, trying to all these things. And now that I know that a trigger is more like an opportunity, I welcome those. When something happens, I'm like, why am I thinking that way? Why did I respond that way? And I do the work because I realize now that there's a reason behind it. And if I can understand it, know where it stems from, I can do the healing work and release it.
That is awesome. So talking about triggers, and I hate this topic so much, but you just sparked something in my mind just now. How are you with the whole wearing a mask for COVID? Did that cause a trigger, or were you like, okay, it's fine? Because again, going through everything that you've been through, I've interviewed a few other people that said it was hard for them to wear the mask because due to their trauma, they've had their
mouths covered or something.
That's correct. That is correct. So how was that for you? Or were you just like, oh, or did it really faze you?
Well, here in Utah, they weren't as heavily wearing them. It's weird. COVID didn't affect me as badly as it did, a majority of the people. And I almost felt guilty about that because I had experienced so much healing. I was like so high on life, and I homeschool my kids, so I didn't have to take them to school or deal with any of that. I work from home, so I didn't go out anywhere. My husband would go to the store and bring home food on his way home. So I wasn't really doing much. We only had the one car. So I was already kind of staying home. We would go outside. I'd take my kids to the park and things like that. So none of that really affected me. So I didn't really have to wear a mask. The first time I was confronted where I had to wear a mask was when we drove to Vegas to go meet my brother, who was going to go for another tour because he's in the Army. And my father went, and I wanted to go visit with them. And to go into the restaurant, they made you wear a mask. And I remember walking in without it because it seemed like everything was fine. And then this lady comes over there, kind of embarrasses us. It was like, everybody, you have to wear a mask. And I'm like, okay. We stood outside, and I remember I feel like this was a trigger. I still don't really understand it, but I got angry. I got really, really angry. And I was like angry crying. And I think it's because I feel like my freedom and my rights were being trampled on. I really believe that I was being forced to do something that I did not want to do. And that made me angry. I was really, really angry. And I had a choice not to go in or wear the mask and go to the table to take it off because magically I'm no longer exposed. I'm sorry, but I just do not, that's not logical to me. It just is not. And learning about, healing, nutrition, your immune system, that the body has the power to heal. I didn't live in fear of COVID. I mean, I was nervous about it when it first came out, but then when I started researching, meaning not just solely going to the TV and the news, like doing other research, not just Google, using DuckDuckGo where it's not, filtered and censored, and finding all this stuff. I believe in looking at both sides. There's so many angles and you have to be thorough. And so because of that, I was not scared. I was not fearful. So that was my first experience with wearing a mask. The second time was when I had to go to Texas for my grandfather's funeral, and I had to wear it on the plane. And it didn't trigger me in that way as if, like others, but it was hard to breathe. And I just think it was ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm not for masks. I think that's like a whole nother episode.
Yes. Last thing but not least, any advice for anyone that is going through all that stuff? You keep mentioning your book, but like always, not everyone has access to the book. So if they have access to this podcast, what would you say to them if they're going through anything like this that you've gone through?
I just want people to know that it really doesn't matter what you've gone through. It does not matter what you've gone through. You can heal. If you believe it, you can achieve it. That's, a Napoleon Hill quote. And I believe it more than anything. If you believe in the law of attraction, that's just in the power of your mind. If you believe in prayer, it's kind of like the same thing. You have the power to heal. And if you don't know what that looks like for you, that's okay. I didn't. All you have to do is just make the choice. That's it. If you're fed up with living life the way that it is, you have the choice to step up and say, no more, and then just start walking that path of healing. And the first thing I could encourage people to try is what I call my trifecta. It's where you focus in those three areas all at the same time. So just to give an example, what I like to do is I will go outside. You can go outside, walk, you can go outside, jog, run, sit outside, whatever you want to do. Perhaps not sit because you want to hit that physical part where you're walking at least or running. And simply just being outside connects you on a spiritual level. Hey, if you can walk around in your backyard barefoot, that's even better because now you're grounding. So just be outside. And out here where I live, there's a beautiful lake, flowers, greenery. So it's really beautiful. And it just naturally elevates my frequency, my vibration. And so what better time than to state some positive affirmations when you're, that elevated. So while I'm walking or jogging, while I'm outside being spiritually connected, I will state affirmations like, I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my healing. I'm grateful that my children are supernaturally protected and free from all harm. Just anything that comes to me, just having that attitude of gratitude, that will bring more joy into your life. So I recommend everybody to try that. And if none of that resonates with you, then, I do have my book on Kindle for only 99 cents. And I did that on purpose to make it more easily available for people that didn't have the opportunity to purchase the book, which is $19.95 on Amazon. And so if none of that resonates with you, you can always check out the wellness section and choose something else from the mental health section to implement, or a different exercise. Like if somebody's overweight, I realized that, jogging might be too painful. So maybe you can, you have a swimming pool, water renders you weightless. Maybe you can join a gym with the pool or something like that, or simply just walking. There's so many things that people can do. And that's what I want everybody to remember. We're all unique and we're all different. So everything is different. So like what works for me, like the ones that I choose resonate with me because I'm individual, but you might resonate with this over here or with that over here. And not to mention with your physical health and your nutrition, there's no such thing as a one size fits all diet. They're just not. There's no such thing. And that's why it's important to talk about it in my book, to get that LCAT test or to get a food sensitivity test so you can find out what foods are wreaking havoc on your body and which foods your body thrives on. So I help people with all of that because, there's scientific research that talks about the mind and body connection. Like for example, blueberries. Blueberries are high in antioxidants that actually supports anxiety disorder. So there's so many things that you can do. And that's why I offer my services too, to help people. And I know that it can be overwhelming. So like in the first week, we tackle mental health and I'm there for support and accountability and guidance. Second week, we focus on the nutrition piece and it's just constantly building. So by the second week, you have your mental health practice and now we're diving into nutrition. And then the third week, you're still doing your mental health practice, and your nutrition. And now we're bringing in the physical part. So it's like step by step, week by week, at your own pace. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I just really want people to know you have the power. You have the power to change. If you believe it, it's so.
Excellent. So I have two issues now. First issue is you mentioned your book, which is great. The problem with your book is I have no clue what the title is, nor did you share it.
It is called Unlocking Your Ability to Heal, Reinvent Your World Mentally, Physically, and Spiritually.
Excellent. Second thing, you mentioned your program. How can we find your program?
You can visit me at tiffanypatlin.com. And it lists all the businesses, all the work that I'm doing. And I even have some freebies on there for you. So I encourage you to check it out.
Excellent. Tiffany, any other things you'd like to say? You could say no. It's okay.
I'm trying to think if there's something else I could possibly say. No, but I'm more than happy to connect with anybody, for a free 30-minute consult just to chat. Perhaps I can give you a breakthrough. I'm more than happy to do that. And you can schedule something on my website because I know how hard it is to just find somebody. I hear that the wait lists for therapy and this and that, and a lot of people that are in therapy and they're just not getting any results. And I understand that from my own experience. So I feel like I'm able to resonate with a lot of people because I've dealt with an array of abuse, addiction, all this stuff. So I can understand people. And I think that's more helpful than maybe somebody who hasn't experienced it. So I'm here for you.
I love that. Tiffany, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.